Hey, did you know that you really only need to know 3 fingerpicking patterns to be able to get through most songs? Here's one. Here's 2. And here's 3. That's really it. But a lot of times when people learn fingerpicking on YouTube, if you just try to copy the fingers, you're going to run into trouble. So I want to show you how to play these patterns. I want to show you how to practice them and the things that you should look out for in your fingers so that you can actually play them confidently and know that you know what you're doing. Here's the first pattern. This has been a popular pattern for a long time. You'll hear a lot of Bob Dylan songs with something that looks like this pattern. Noah Kahan also uses this a lot in modern music. But there's a couple things happening. The main hallmark of this first pattern is that it's kind of a driving, very straight forward rhythm, and the thumb continues to move. Now I'm bouncing between strings. I'll talk about that in a moment, but just watch the thumb of this pattern. I'm just moving back and forth. I'm holding a G chord, and I'm moving back and forth between the E string and the D string consistently. And everything else, I'm only using my index and middle fingers. It doesn't even really matter which fingers you use, what strings they're on. The important part is that they are syncing up with the thumb. They're either right with the thumb or directly in between. And I teach my students to just think of it as together or separate. That's it. In fact, when I play this part, the first beat is just the thumb by itself on my low E string. And then the second beat is the thumb and the middle finger together. Thumb's on D, middle finger's on B. And then after that, I've got 4 more strokes. These are the fast ones. Thumb goes back to the low E string, pointer on G, and then thumb on D, and then middle on B. Few things to set this up. First of all, I'm going to keep my pointer finger and my middle finger on the G string and the B string the whole time. Even though my thumb's moving, I don't want the rest of my hand to move. In other words, when my thumb bounces, look at this. If these 2 fingers move along with it, it's going to be a lot harder to aim them. I want to let these fingers stay here and practice only the thumb bounce. You can do that like I'm doing right now without even playing a single note, and it's going to make it easier. But the other thing that I might do if I'm totally new to this is I might first play the same pattern but with no bouncing with the thumb. In other words, I'm just going to put the thumb here on this low string. It's still going to sound good. And then I can break it apart. The first 2 long strokes are simply thumb and then together. And then after that, it's just alternation. Thumb, pointer, thumb, middle. I can practice each of those parts in isolation. Here's the first half. And I can practice the alternating part in half. And then when I'm ready, I can put them together. And then when I'm ready with that, I can bounce the thumb back and forth between those different strings. Sounds like there's a ton of stuff going on, and there's really not. But that method we just did there, where we kind of took the idea and we break it down into its simplest components, or where we find an easier version of the same thing to play, I think that's a really important part of practicing, and even a really important part of arranging songs to kind of making them your own. You don't ever have to play the exact part that somebody else plays. If you want to, I mean, do it, good for you. But you can make up your own, and even without that thumb bounce, it's going to do the same job. Or maybe you need to do that today, and then tomorrow, after that feels comfortable, you can move that thumb around a whole lot more, and it's going to feel a whole lot easier. Hey, if you're liking these 3 patterns, but you want more, I'm actually working right now on putting out a rhythms workbook, and if it's live when this video comes out, there will be a link down in the description. If not, there's a link to my Patreon. You can join the free tier or join my mailing list, and I'd be happy to send you a notification when it comes out if that interests you. So let's move on to the second pattern right now, and we're going to play this one. This is different. For the first one was really in 4 beats, and we were kind of moving ahead in a very driving rhythm. This one's going to feel different, and it's a very lilting rhythm. This is in 6/8. It's usually a slower kind of feel, but it doesn't have to be. This is a variation of something that you might hear in something like Perfect by Ed Sheeran. He just plays block chords. But you could do. Or I think of Jeff Buckley's version of Hallelujah. He has a little more bass movement, but it's the same idea. You could substitute and still get the same effect. This is a really helpful pattern for a few ways, or for a few reasons rather. First of all, it trains your fingers differently. You'll notice that I used 4 fingers instead of 3 here: thumb, index, middle, and ring. This is a finger that classical players learn to use. And in fact, if you want to learn the technique behind that, I've got a deep dive video on fingerstyle technique that I'll link up in this card in the corner right here. But for now, the main thing that I want to say is this: if you're not used to using your ring finger, keep it relaxed and keep your hand low to the ground. The mistake that a lot of people do is they pull their hand up like this, right? And when you do that, it's very hard for this finger to have enough room to play. You're very likely either going to hit the other strings with it, which you don't want to do, or you're going to pluck the string out, which is going to get a nasty sound, and it's also going to move your hand further away. Ideally, when you play, your hand is a little bit far away from the guitar. I'll show you right here. You should be able to see a little bit of space. I'm about a thumb's length away from the guitar. I could fit a small ball in my palm. And I'm also fairly low to the ground. If you take a look, a lot of times we do this when we reach with our hands. We reach from the fingers up top and we go down until we hit the strings. You're almost always going to be too high there. I would recommend doing it the other way. Deliberately start with your hand down below the strings, pull it back up, have them sit on. And now you're going to be much lower to the ground than you usually are. What that lets you do is practice playing into a fist. All of those fingers are going to close consistently. You're going to be pushing the strings more into the guitar, which is actually going to activate the natural resonance of the guitar. It's going to use the wood that you paid for to help the guitar resonate. And it's going to keep your hand more centralized so that you don't feel like you're bouncing around and constantly trying to find your place again. That said, if you can focus on just keeping your hand a little bit lower and a little bit more relaxed, it's going to make this whole pattern easier. But that's why this is so helpful. It's going to train your ring finger. And it's simply down and then back up. Thumb, index, middle, ring, middle, index, thumb. In classical, we would call this P, I, M, and A, pulgar, indice, medio, annular. And so I would call this P, I, M, A, M, I, this pattern. By the way, I have a finger picking guide. It's just a free PDF download that you can have down in the description if that interests you. Go check it out. But this is another helpful pattern, not just because it helps us play in a different meter, that's 6/8. This is also great for something like Can't Help Falling in Love with You. Nice romantic kind of pattern. But it's also teaching you other patterns along the way. So you're learning just this straight up pattern, and you could also learn the straight back pattern. So if you wanted to do this in a group of 4 instead of a group of 6, you could still play. And from working on this one pattern, you've actually trained yourself for some other usable patterns too. The first one we did, is the same way. You can use that second half. Or it could be its own thing. That's one of the great things about strumming patterns is a lot of time, finger picking patterns, not strumming patterns. Maybe that's true of strumming too, but we care about the fingers here. Is you're really kind of gluing together a bunch of smaller parts. And when you learn those small parts, you can put them into other places. You can make new patterns with them. But if you're able to keep your hand nice and far apart and relaxed, and you're able to keep your hand relatively still when you play, you're going to be able to master this pattern and all of its families pretty quickly. And in fact, that idea of putting different patterns together is really what we're doing in this last pattern. There's a few different ways that you could do it. My favorite kind of sound is this sort of pattern with it. which is too funky and jazzy for some of you, but your kids are going to love it. Anyway, I really love that neat rhythm if I'm going to speed it up. Or a much more normal rendering of it might be. You've heard that kind of sound before. This one's really important because technically it gets you to combine two things. We learned a pattern in groups of 3. I know it was 6, but it's basically 3. And we learned a pattern in groups of 4. This puts that together. It's a group of 3 and 3 and 2. It's a syncopated pattern. It also is really popular in a lot of dance music and a lot of pop music right now because that syncopation really kind of helps to move things forward. We see this a lot. An example is in John Legend's All of Me. And I could play a pattern. There's a lot of variations that I could do with this pattern, but the key is this. I don't even care yet about what string I'm on. I'm going to go back to using just these 3 fingers, and like I said, it's a group of 3, 3, and then 2. So the group of 3 is going to be thumb. I'm always going to start with the bass. Usually when I do a finger picking pattern, I'm going to start with the thumb because that bass grounds my ear and tells it this is an important note to listen to. And then after that, you can do these other 2 in any order. Usually I would go I and then M, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1. I'm just going to use this finger again for the 2, but for that very last one, it doesn't matter. You could go thumb pointer, you could go thumb middle, you could go thumb, and then play this as a chord. Any of them, it's really the same pattern. It doesn't matter, and it's your choice. But I would start in the same way. Let's grab a G chord, and I'm going to keep my fingers, my pointer and my middle, on the G string and the B string the whole time. And my thumb, I'm going to start with just on the E string. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. And I'm going to get used to repeating that. And making sure that the thumb deliberately comes out louder than the other 2. See, one of the things that often makes finger picking sound a lot more mature, or what kind of makes sometimes people say like, wow, that sounded like more than one guitar. Some of that is when you have different rhythms and notes sustain longer than others. But another thing like I'm doing here is when you deliberately have notes of different volumes. I want you to hear that thumb note and pay attention to what it's doing to the rhythm. These fingers are really just filling in space. So the more I can bring out the thumb and quiet down these 2 fingers, the more you're going to recognize that. And then just like the very first pattern, once you get used to doing that thumb on a single string, you can bounce it around between different strings. So if I'm holding a G chord, what I might do here is I might use my thumb to bounce between the E string, A string, and D string. And then these 2 are going to stay on the G and B strings respectively. You've heard this pattern before, maybe in a famous Spanish malagueña. But that idea of changing the bass note every time, whether doing it on a different string or that last one I did it on the same string twice in a row, it doesn't matter, you can do that. And if you don't have enough strings, like you're saying, hey, I'm on a C chord and I really only have 2 strings to play between, that's fine, then bounce between those. Having any amount of variation in the bass makes a pattern sound way more impressive than it actually is. If I keep my thumb the same, that's totally fine and you're going to keep the rhythm with it. But just by moving the thumb from one spot to another, it just sounds like you're covering way more ground. It sounds like there are more voices. Man, it just sounds like you're way further ahead than you actually are. Or maybe you're not. I don't know. You let me know. But I really do mean when I say that these 3 patterns are all you need to get through most songs. But even more than learning patterns, you should be learning how rhythms work. And that's why I made this video right here. It's a deep dive that goes into how to think of rhythms like a guitarist so that you can listen to a song even if it has no guitar part and write your own part for it. I think you should go ahead and check it out, and I'll see you there.